Welcome everybody, it's Rev. Have to do another video on hybrid Blackwings. Why? People just aren't getting it. People aren't getting it. I've received a lot of messages and DMs about this deck, and I think as opposed to gameplay, especially on my main account, which is low level gameplay, I just want to talk about the deck, how it's constructed, and what is or is not a tech choice. And, you know, I think I'm just going to have to go back to talking about the allegory of James Arc, which is, the more and more you you listen to James Arc, the more and more things start to make sense. And people say, "Oh, you're always just memeing. You're always talking about James Arc, James Arc, James Arc, James Arc. Uh, you're obsessed with James Arc." Well, I got some news for you. Real recognize real, and a lot of the shit that James Arc says you actually should listen to. And I want to start again with a story about James Arc, which was him reviewing some videos and deck lists about a James Arc invention, which was Dreamfrog, and people not listening. And he was reviewing, I believe it was Fraser Smith's Dreamfrog variant. It had like 6 monarchs or 7 monarchs and the Glad in it. And, there were too many monarchs. And James Arc said something pretty profound. He said, "Stop messing with my deck, okay? Like, please, stop messing with it." And I feel the same way. Now I understand where James Arc's coming from. He said, "Stop messing with my deck. I built it that way for a reason. Don't be messing with my deck." Okay? Now, I'm Rev. I play Blackwings. I spent a lot of time on this deck. I spent a lot of time perfecting hybrid Blackwings. Don't be messing with my deck. Okay? Please. Um, Now I'm going to talk about what I'm seeing people producing is Blackwing hybrid builds, which is your shit's a pile. This right here on the screen, this is a Regal Elegant engine, and I'm going to go over if you want to make changes to this deck because there are flex spots, what you can and cannot change. So I'm going to do my best to order it in what's flex and what's not. So in order of importance, I mean, like the top stuff, like, am I really going to say like pollute is like more or less important than like some of these cards? Not really. Like the top stuff is uncuttable. Like please run 3 collude. Please run 3 collude. I cannot believe how many lists I'm seeing that do not run 3 collude. Run 3 collude. It's the second best Blackwing by like a mile. Order of Blackwing goodness. Gale best. Collude. Depending on how you build your deck, these. And Blizzard. And then but like second best Blackwing, no questions asked. Like run 3. You're running a hand trap that doesn't require a monster on field for you to do damage. Like at worst, it's like 1400 like damage, which is insane. Like from hand in damage step, it helps you win battles. It supports like your like multiple dimensions of your engine, like Whirlwind, Icarus, every single Blackwing card. Shura, it pulls like values from deck. It supports like Blizzard. It does everything that you want. It does everything. I would run like 5 of these if I could. It's just please run 3 collude. It's uncuttable. It's not even up for debate. So these top cards, uncuttable. You need to run 3 Shura. If you want to start cutting Shuras, you're just not running Blackwings. It's okay, just run 3. In hybrid, these 3 cards are non-negotiable. One of each. If you want to build the deck differently, you can add a third Grepher and an additional value. That's just a slightly different take on the build. Now, where you do have flexibility, up until this 16th card, you have 0 flexibility. 0. None of these cards can be cut. The first Blizzard can never be cut. The first Bora also can never be cut. You want it for utility. You always want at least one Bora. As much as I've been on the record saying that Bora is shit and it's ass, because it is, you need at least one. There just are way too many times where, you need it for a whirlwind search. It's part of some type of combo extender. It makes sense to, sometimes summon 2 things. Like if there's like, for instance, let's say there's like a Grepher on board that if you don't remove, you lose the game. Like sometimes you just need to like summon a Shura, special summon a Bora just to ensure that it gets removed. And like even if you play into Mirror Force, like you have to play into it because maybe they have a Necro engrave or something. There are just way too many situations where you just need the Bora. Now, where the flexibility in the monster lineup does come is second Blizzard and second Bora. If you want to sub these out, my first choices would be third Vayu, second Greffer, um, and that's just a slightly more virusy build. I also see people cutting Armageddon Knight. This is an uncuttable card. I would there's so much like I would cut before Arma. Like just having the ability to resolve Ashura and have a Vayu engrave and then have like a one card normal summon into Vayu Synchro is insane. Just having like a Sirocco engrave, normal summon Vayu Synchro is insane. It's really good defense. You're running slightly higher, monster counts than other Blackwing builds, so Arma Send Necro is amazing. Arma Send level 4 to turn on a Blizzard is amazing. Like this card just does everything. It's uncuttable. It supports Burial amazingly. So that's my spiel on the monsters. Again, in order of cuttability, like again, I don't think there's like much differentiation in like cuttability on like these first like 14 cards. Like these first like realistically 18 cards. Like there are 18 monsters that you cannot cut. Then there's two flex spots depending on how you want to build your hybrid list. The spells, we can zoom through this very quickly. You cannot cut any of these cards ever. You never side deck MST ever. Unless there's some insane meta adaptation, you're never siding this card. It's always a main deck card. Um, Now, traps is where things do get a little bit more nuanced. So I am going to spend some time talking about what is flex and what is not in traps. Torrential is never flex. Solemn Judgment. This should never be cut in like almost like any bird deck, not just Black Wings, but Vayu. Like, please run Solemn Judgment. I know it feels bad when you lose and you pay a lot of life points because you activated Solemn Judgment because they have additional follow up, but the fact of the matter is if they had two layers of follow up, you were going to lose anyway. So, Solemn Judgment is just making you feel like that's the card that caused the loss, but your opponent just drew like two waves of threats and you solemned and then they had follow up and you lost. It wasn't Solemn's fault. They just had more shit. Um, the amount of games that you win with Solemn is far higher if you're good. I'll concede that if you're good, it's far higher than the amount of games you lose because of Solemn. It's a checkmate card. It's non-negotiable. I hardly ever side it out. The only matchup I side this out is something like Burn or like Amaryllis, and I never ever side it out. Same with Torrential. I can't think of like a single matchup where I ever side out Torrential other than, and somebody in the comments is going to say like some like 0.5% representation like niche deck, but like there are so few matchups in this format where torrential isn't amazing. Like I can't even think of any. Like what do you not want torrential in against that's like an actual deck? Nothing. um Trap does shoot. It's probably the most broken card of the format, unfortunately. I hate this card, so you should run it. Two bottomless are non-negotiable in the main. This is a card that's heavily flexed in or out depending on matchup, but in the main deck, you absolutely need two bottomless. You absolutely need spell speed 2 generic removal that can interrupt your opponent's plays with Icarus. This is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Um, I would say deck dev is also non-negotiable, just considering you can pop off deck dev so easily in this format or in this deck. I would absolutely never cut this below 1. I think you're insane if you do. The first mirror, well, the first mirror force. There's only one mirror force. This is uncuttable. Um, Surprisingly enough, this card comes out post side in a lot of matchups, which people don't realize if they're siding properly. Well, if a lot of people are siding in properly and they keep this in, but this, like, if you actually develop a side plan with this deck, you'll realize if it's a good side plan that Mirror Force is a very, very common side out. But it's so good in certain matchups where you need non-targeting removal, you have to have it in the 55 and might as well just stick it in the main. I don't think it's a side deck card. It's something if you side out, opponents will perpetually play around. Um, Same goes for, I think, first Dimpriz. I do think at least one Dimpriz is entirely necessary just for like summon attack matchups. Like you just need it for GBs. I personally like two. Um, but in the main deck, we have kind of deduced what are the flex spots. So when you're building this deck, you have two monster flex spots and two trap flex spots. Nothing else is negotiable, so that's four. Now, bear in mind that you don't make these decisions in a vacuum. I love main deck Royal Oppression because it gives me higher card variety and free wins game one, and I think it's just very well positioned in the meta right now. But frankly, it's not 100% necessary. You know, if you went with a build like something like this, am I going to say that you need oppression in the main? No. Like you can move it to the side if you want. Like it's totally fine. Like if you're going to make a build like this, I think this is marginally less consistent. But this build is completely fine. I mean, you're just adding more ceiling to your burial, and you're having more ignition effects, you know, with Greffer. Um, I actually don't want to save this. So actually, you know what? Let's just undo that while we're at it. Um, so that's the flex spots. Just rebuild the deck because it'll be important when we talk about the side deck. Actually, you know what? While we're rebuilding this, just not to waste your time, um, let's talk about the extra deck. The extra deck, there is no space to change anything ever. You can't change any of these cards. I see some people complaining that they miss a Mistworm. I've seen people cut Armor Master. You can't cut Armor Master. I'm sorry. Like that's just absolutely not so. You need to. So extra deck is non-negotiable. Every single card here comes up enough. There is no room for innovation. There is no room for personal takes. There is no room for personal preference. It's defined. So let's move on to the extra deck. Let's reorder this. So now if you're following, non-negotiable 18 monsters, flex, flex, all spells non-negotiable, these traps all non-negotiable, and then you have two flex spots depending on personal preference for traps. Let's move to the side deck. So Dyna, non-negotiable. You cannot run Blackwings. You can't run like most decks without a Dyna in the side. DD Warrior Lady, I personally like this right now. It comes in several more matchups than you might expect if you actually plan out your side plan. Um, I just think it also helps particularly in some of your worst matchups, namely like Lightsworn. Um, it's pretty darn good into Hero Beat. Well, it's not like great into Hero Beat, but it's good enough into Hero Beat, and it's an orb out. It's you know it's just like realistically those two matchups. Now, I will move this to the end just because I think like depending on how you construct your side deck, it could come out. I just like the ability to have an orb out that has extremely high utility in the first place and is searchable by Rhoda. It's kind of just like a Swiss Army knife card, but depending on how you build your list, you definitely could remove this for something else. Two Crow are non-negotiable. It's a hand trap. It's really well positioned right now. You can't play less than two. I'm sorry, you just can't. Cyber Dragon, I actually did, and I think even in previous videos, play one of these. That was undoubtedly a mistake. You need two Cyber Dragon. It's not only just a generically like decent card and like sometimes can be fine going second, but it's an orb out, which is extremely necessary in this type of deck, and it's really good in your worst matchups. So it's really good into Lightsworn, it's really good into Hero Beat, and it's really good into Machina. So I mean, like having a 3 for 3 on your three worst matchups like this is absolutely insane. Um, so this is uncuttable. Fissure, I like this card right now, but depending on how you construct your side, this could be cuttable. Um, Nobleman is probably the worst card in your side deck in my opinion, so it's definitely cuttable. Oppression is uncuttable. Deck Dev is uncuttable. One Rug, I would probably not cut this, but it's. Oh, and another thing to talk about is I did test Mask. It's not good. So I really don't think you should cut Rug. Um, 3 dust. I tried the 2 dust, 1 road config and did not like it. I think 3 dust is mandatory, frankly. So like I guess in order of cuttability, uh, Nobleman's your most cuttable, Rug is probably your least cuttable, and then Fissure is probably. So these first 11 cards, in my opinion, are uncuttable, with like maybe third dust is cuttable, but I just don't think that's correct. Um, One Rug is potentially cuttable, but less so than these other 4 cards. Fissure is kind of cuttable, but I like it. DD Warrior Lady is cuttable, but I really like it. And then Nobleman is definitely cuttable. It does hurt your Machina matchup, can maybe be bad into Vayu if you cut it, but if you're going to be adjusting these 4 cards, I do like the idea of Mindcon Reiko, because it does solve or make less bad some issues. So Mindcon Reiko definitely is going to help your Vayu matchup. It's definitely going to help your Machina matchup. It's going to be an Orb and Decree out, which is the purpose several of these cards serve. So, like, is there a world where somebody, cuts, you know, this and maybe like, I don't know, I'd have to think about if I'd cut Fissure or DD Warrior Lady, but like probably DD Warrior Lady and just like jams in a Reiko, jams in a Mindcon, and just says like, fuck it, this is my side deck. Sure. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. In fact, it might be right. I haven't necessarily tested this. Um, but hopefully this helps you if you do want to play hybrid, identify what the flex spots are. Again, a big point of importance here is your flexibility is not in the monsters. Like this is a very, very tight engine. So like post side, you usually can't side out more than 2 cards. And like your 2 most commonly sided out cards are Bora and Blizzard. Um, and you're basically making the concessions game 2 and 3 that you're going to be sacrificing some ceiling, but you're going to be adding some more stun and adding some more resiliency with some of these cards. But when you do the math, I mean, you just can't have 7 to 8 monsters in the side. You can only have 1, 2, 3, 4. Crow is not a monster. So I hope this helps. Um, I might do more discussions on this, but I just really do believe that the direction I've taken with this deck, sans some of the flex spots, is correct. I've tested it more than anybody. I just know that for a fact. I know there are people that play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I've been playing this deck extensively, so I just have the experience knowing what's good and bad. Thanks for watching.